What's up, you guys? Chet-Guthrie, the Dream Poet here, coming to you all from a very beautiful day out here in the mountains. Well, I'd probably say that stretches between Middle Tennessee and East Tennessee. The Cumberland Plateau. Really beautiful area, very important. But anyway, guys, we are going to continue Native American Heritage Month by walking along this trail here in this state park. The state park is Justin P. Wilson Cumberland Trail State Park. It is a part of the Cumberland Trail system. The Cumberland Trail was created in the 90s by Justin P. Wilson, who played a very big role in getting this particular part of the Tennessee State Park Service going. But anyway, you guys, as we're out here in this park, by the way, this park really isn't all that old. It is the 53rd Tennessee State Park here in the state. And there is something very special about this land. You see, just on the other side of this mountain right here, the other side of this ridge, there is a place called Grassy Knot. And Grassy Knot, if you don't know, is the largest sinkhole in North America. From what I understand, it was created as a result of three large holes that eventually caved into one another, and thus that's what created the sinkhole, and it is just over this ridge. And right over by this ranger station over here, you also have the head of the Sequatchie. You see, the Sequatchie River, it starts in this cave system, which is right over here. But the reason why we are here today, you guys, is we are here to see the Devil Step Hollow Cave. And there is something very special about this cave. Not long ago, I'd probably say it was about the 90s, early 2000s, they discovered petroglyphs in this cave that dated all the way back about 1,000 years ago. There were about 20 in total. But sadly, we cannot go into the caves to see them. You see James Shinek, who is a very big individual on this particular topic, especially here in Tennessee. He declared that these petroglyphs are simply too fragile and they could get damaged very easily, which is kind of interesting because Dunbar Cave State Park, which sits on the right between the Kentucky border and Tennessee border, they do allow tours, and those petroglyphs date back about 6,000 years. But anyway, guys, we are going to go to the outside of the cave. We are going to explore the beauty, and I'll show you a few photos of what these petroglyphs look like. But in the meantime, let's check out this family cemetery that's right over here. Hidden in this tree line right here is the old Craven Sherrill Cemetery. This was the family who owned the property about around the 1800s. And surprisingly enough, one of the people that is buried here, I believe it's the wife of this gentleman. I think it's Mary Ann Branson. You see, she was a relative of John Sevier. And if y'all don't know who John Sevier is, well, I don't know what to tell you. In the state of Tennessee, he's pretty important. But we've got that old headstone right there. Here's a newer one. Craven Sherrill, married about 1826. That is a newer headstone right there. And now this is something that you do typically see with older headstones. They're kind of small, kind of rocky, kind of hidden out of the way. I just find it's very interesting that way back then, you know, we never used headstones. And I think this might be the family that is buried out here, I think. But anyway, let's get out here and let's check out the cave. And now there's a fun fact about this particular cave. When James Shinek was doing his research out here, you had people coming out here like National Geographic to look at these things. And because these petroglyphs are so fragile and so brittle, he himself has to get permission from the state just to do his research. It's crazy to think. Very crazy. But very important nonetheless. And here we go. Here's a kiosk out here that explains a little bit more about Devil's Step Hollow Cave. Here are some other photos of what the petroglyphs look like. Out here near the front is the bird petroglyphs, and down here is Toothy Mouth. This kind of shows what might have been going on a while back. And of course, there's the cave with the petroglyphs right here. And you got the mud cliff, the woodpecker, and a human footprint. But let's read up on this. This valley was a sacred place to ancient Native Americans, a portal to the underworld. Deep inside a cave, here are 26 ancient pictographs and petroglyphs showing religious symbols. These include bird, humans, some holding weapons in their hands, heads without bodies, supernatural dog effigies, and underworld monsters. Rituals were performed inside the cave by ancient priests, illuminated by hundreds of river cane torches. Archaeological studies have shown that the cave is decorated around AD 1300, so about 720 years ago, during the Mississippian period. The Mississippian people who made this cave art lived in surrounding river valleys here and were corn farmers. Politically organized into regional chiefdoms, they were artistically sophisticated and very religious. They engineered earthen mounds to climb into the sky and entered caves to approach the underworld. They came here primarily for religious activities. Tennessee has more than 50 prehistoric cave art sites and cave art known throughout the southeast. Access into the cave is not permitted, but prehistoric cave art can be seen by the public at Dunbar Cave State Park. Again, we were there last summer. And now this is something interesting that is about the Mississippian belief system. You see, they believed there were 3 worlds. The first one, of course, you had the underworld, what is beneath the earth. You had the human world, what goes on here, like what we're doing right now. And I believe the third one, I think, had something to do with, I think it was animals. The third one I'll put right here. I can't quite remember.
1,000 years ago, people we refer to as Mississippian inhabited this valley. They believed in a world that was divided into 3 arenas. An upper world where the sky spirits lived and controlled the weather. A middle world where the people lived. And an underworld. Caves like Devil's Step Hollow were entrances to that underworld. This is a world where the denizens controlled life and death and rebirth, where souls were guided on their pathways to the sky, where Mississippian people created artwork in response to the power of this place.
And it is hidden out of the way. Kind of curious to see what it looks like, or at least the outside of the caves. I mean, I could totally understand why you wouldn't want somebody to go out here, because unlike the cave, the Dunbar Cave, these are these you don't want to see damaged. Oh my goodness. This is a giant cave. Man, that's a big hole in the ground. You know, let's get down a little bit closer. Now remember, this is gated off just because of how brittle these petroglyphs are. But I do want to see what it looks like in the cave entrance. Now I can definitely see why the Mississippian people believe this place to be the entrance of the underworld. It's just because this cave literally just goes right deep into the earth. I mean, if I were a Mississippian person around this time seeing this big cave, I'd probably think it leads to the underworld too. And that was a crazy hike to get down here. Real quick, let's see what's just on the outside of it. Right there, I believe, is the actual cave itself that goes deep, deep into the mountainside. But remember, you guys, this is closed off, and for good reason. Well, I am kind of curious to see get a close-up what the internal sides of it look like. I mean, that is big. And it does kind of remind me of what the Native Americans believed about how the underworld is inside the earth. Because it looks like it's just like they go all the way in. And I'd say this is about as far as we're going to go. Just because, you know, forestry was my first love in the educational field, and I respect what the Park Service does here in the state of Tennessee, both state and federal. So we are going to stay right across here, and we're going to go no further. But while we are looking at what the Native Americans considered to be the underworld, I will show you all a bit more close-ups of the petroglyphs that are just beyond this point right here in this cave. They're very beautiful. They were etched into the walls about 1,000 years ago, or at least 1,000 years ago on what they estimate. But I mean, it's just crazy to think there's about 20 in total. And as it was talking about back there on the kiosk, it's like, imagine 1,000 years ago when no one really had any lights. People would assume that monsters and beasts still exist, roam the wild plains of a young America. Well, imagine a Native American finding this cave and thinking that headless beasts and monsters and spirits roamed inside the mountains. I mean, it's just very interesting to think. So anyway, you guys, we're going to get out here and we're going to check out the head of the Sequatchie, the cave where the Sequatchie River starts. I know this is a Native American Heritage Month, and this is pretty much what we are focusing on mainly today. But since we're out in the area, since it is such a new park, we're going to check it out a little bit. And remember, these caves are closed off. You have to get permission from the state of Tennessee just to go in and check them and research them. So anyway, I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be this far in, but I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and we're going to check out the head of the Sequatchie.
To enter this cave, we squeeze through a narrow passage into an alien world, a world of darkness. The imagery drawn in Devil's Step is not of our world. It is from the spirit world. The artwork has purpose, to alter the experience of the visitor, to make them more receptive to that spirit world. The most famous image in Devil's Step is the Falcon Warrior, a Muskokian war god, son of Redhorn, also known as the Morning Star, an image of the Cahokian diaspora. A bird standing upright, with both arms raised holding maces on both hands. Mississippian symbols of priestly power. Why is this image drawn here? What did it signal to the Mississippian visitors? The panel is an extraordinary image of transformation. Beyond, a mythological fish drawn on the cave wall, over 2 meters long, with teeth and fins splashing in unseen water. The big room, with a large flat floor littered with cane torch fragments. Look up at the ceiling. Balls of mud, each holding burning river cane torch, illuminating the chamber. 1,000 years ago, this is how Mississippian people would have seen this place. The ceiling glowing like stars in the evening sky. Are we seeing the remains of one visit by lots of people, or a continuous use by a few over hundreds of years? We don't know. In the back of the cave, through this narrow passage, up into the highest, most remote part of Devil's Step, the final image. A single woodpecker, drawn in black charcoal. Drawn by someone crouched where you are right now. Crouched in this tiny space, but drawn 1,000 years ago.
Now that was quite a hike. But luckily we're not that far from the head of the Sequatchie. We're I'd probably say maybe we're about 100 yards from it now. And here it is, the beginnings of the Sequatchie River. A very big river here in the state of Tennessee. And it starts all right around here, in this spring right here. That is some pretty clear water. Very interesting. So the cave starts right about here. Entrance. 1 second. Ooh. There we go. That was very anticlimactic to make that step. Now that is a tiny cave entrance. But right here, this is where it all starts. And that little cave entrance right there, it flows right out this way and into the certain river systems. I really dig the rock work. This rock work is probably from the days of the family who once owned this property. And I will say, this water is very clear. Just check that out. Goes right there and on to greener pastures. And to be honest, it's pretty peaceful. It's calming, soothing. Anyway, I think we're gonna call it a vlog. This is beautiful. But anyway, you guys, this is going to be another vlog for another day in our Native American Heritage Month series. Now the next video is going to be very interesting. I won't break the surprise. Y'all will figure it out in the video after this one. So remember, you guys, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, this vlog is over.